And welcome back to Tabletop for One's podcast. I'm your host, Daniel, and I'm here to talk to you about new crowdfunding games, as well as new arrivals on my doorstep, games I've been playing, and then I want to talk to you about some other topics. Now, a decent amount of games have come to crowdfunding in the last week, and so we're going to start off on Kickstarter with Super Boss Monster. Now, Super Boss Monster, I guess, is a sequel or, re-implementation of the game Boss Monster, and it's actually doing really well right now. It's surprisingly how well it's been doing right now. It's at $423,000 of a $50,000 goal. And now it plays 1 to 4 players as a dedicated solo mode. And basically about this game is that you are a boss monster and you're trying to defeat the heroes as you lure them into the dungeon and try and kill them off, I guess, or something like that. So, it sounds like a lot of fun. It has some great pixel art. Definitely has the nostalgia feel. The box looks like it's a Super Nintendo game. Yeah, there's a lot of things going for it. The price isn't too bad either. So the price is only $30 for the retail edition or $45 for the deluxe edition, which comes with some wooden game tokens and a neoprene mat. And it looks like the Kickstarter edition also comes with promo cards. I'm not sure if those are exclusive or if they're going to be, available after the fact, but it comes with promo cards as well. And the shipping's not too bad either. It's either $10 or $12 depending on the edition you choose. So yeah, it looks pretty good. Now, here's the thing. I've heard that the original Boss Monster, which I don't think had a solo mode or maybe had an unofficial one, but I heard the original Boss Monster just wasn't that great. It was more of like a lukewarm reception to that game. But now this one apparently has a lot of fans behind it, and I think part of that is the nostalgia. It's definitely got that Super Nintendo nostalgia look to it. It looks great on the table. There isn't like a huge amount of components, it looks like. It doesn't look like it takes up a lot of table space, which might be a good thing. But yeah, it looks really interesting. Looks like a lot of fun. I'll definitely be waiting for retail and probably pick it up at retail. We'll see. But now let's check out River Valley Glassworks by Allplay. Allplay does some really great games. They have a lot of like really great components and that sort of thing. They were the ones who published On Tour, and I happen to really like both On Tour games. Now, River Valley Glassworks is a Euro style game. Well, actually, no, it's more like an Azul style game. So if you played Azul, I think you'll recognize kind of the mechanisms as you're drafting different colored pieces. These are acrylic pieces in the standard edition, and they look like little glass rocks, so they look really cool. But you're drafting them to your player board and trying to position them in a way that helps you score. You score your columns and your rows, and you have different ways of scoring those points. It looks really good. It's a 1 to 5 player game. It has a dedicated solo mode, and so it comes with solo specific components. And yeah, everything looks really good. The retail edition is only $39, but like I said, it comes with acrylic river glass pieces, 132 of them. And so I think that's pretty good for a retail edition. Now, the deluxe edition actually comes with dual layer player boards and some other bonuses. And then you can get like the super deluxe edition that actually comes with actual glass pieces. If I was going into this, I would definitely say just stick with the retail edition. I don't think the other stuff is absolutely necessary. I don't think the dual layer player boards in this case is really that necessary. I don't see those pieces really moving around a lot. So I think the retail edition is just, the way to go here. Now, the nice thing too is that the shipping to the US is only $4. To Canada, it's only $9. So definitely some good shipping costs here. $9 to the European Union. It gets higher and higher as you go further out from there, but definitely some good costs on the shipping. And I wouldn't be surprised if they hit their delivery date of September 2024. Allplay's been really good about short delivery dates and, getting things on time or at least really close to those delivery dates. So there's a lot of reliability here on this particular publisher. So yeah, this looks like a lot of fun. I'll definitely have to check it out when it comes to retail. But yeah, I definitely recommend taking a second look at River Valley Glassworks. All right, so let's head on over to GameFound now. And so on GameFound, we have Fox Experiment, the Deluxe Edition. It's a solo available game, and so they've done an upgraded edition that is all wooden, I guess. So all the tokens are wooden, the dice are wooden, there's just wooden components everywhere. There's just hundreds of wooden components. So it looks like they're upgrading this game, and so the deluxe edition with, just the base pledge is going to put you back about $70. But do bear in mind that they don't have the shipping costs on here yet. And it says in the shipping area that it is going to be, averaging under $30 for EU, UK, Australia, China, Canada, and the US. So, yeah, I don't know. Without showing it, averaging under $30, does that mean it could be up to $30 for the US? That's a little on the high side, I think. Now, here's the thing about the Fox experiment. On a personal side here, I did not back the original. There is an original out there, and it just delivered, I want to say late last year. This is published by Pandasaurus Games, and, Pandasaurus Games, I happen to enjoy a lot of their games, and I've reviewed some of their games. They've sent me review copies. But here's the thing, I don't really like the look of Fox Experiment. I definitely recommend that you watch a playthrough and see if this is the kind of game for you, and check current reviews as well. I happen to wonder, how people are taking it right now and whether they really think it's a good game, especially on the solo side. But on top of that, I would steer clear of this deluxe edition and just go on, the secondary market and see if the first edition is cheaper, because I think a lot of people who want the upgraded edition are going to be selling their original edition copies for a fraction of the price. So I would imagine you could probably find it. In fact, I think I saw it on BGG for like $30 for buying this game from a seller. So, yeah, I would definitely check that out. So if you're looking for this game, just save some money and buy the regular edition and go from there. I think it would be better. But I mean, if you really want the deluxe, you can go with that. I really highly recommend, going into this cautiously, double checking the playthroughs, making sure this is a game you're going to like, and then just being aware that the shipping costs aren't set. And it could be upwards of $20, $25, $30. And so you're looking at almost $100 for this game when it's all said and done. All right, so next up is Reign of Hades, and this is on GameFound as well. So Reign of Hades is a 1 to 4 player game, plays in 2 hours, and it has co-designers behind Anachrony and Tricerion, Cerebra, Perseverance. And so what this is it looks like it's a dungeon crawling game, kind of a campaign game. You can do solo or cooperative, and the game plays out on a spiral-bound book with maps. There's a lot of cards to this game, like 700 cards. There's multiple decks that you're going to have on the table. It looks like it takes up a lot of table space. And it's got a few miniatures and stuff, nothing to write home about. In fact, the miniatures don't look impressive. If you check out the miniature models, they look okay. They don't look, really that great. And almost too cartoonish for the subject, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's just my preference. Well, it's definitely just my preference. I just don't think the miniatures look that great. I also don't like the dice. The dice, I don't like how they look. I think that the dice are going to have some readability issues, but maybe I'm wrong about that. So let's talk about the gameplay here. So the gameplay of the game is that all centered around actually playing 2 players, because you're supposed to be able to play simultaneously and collaborate at the same time, manipulating dice and fighting monsters and that sort of thing. Now, the solo mode has what is called a lone wolf solo mode, and so I guess it's supposed to help simulate the idea that you're going to have another player. I'd almost personally, if I were to get this game, I'd almost just play 2 characters instead of playing the solo mode. The solo mode comes with like 80 cards for the solo mode, and I don't even know if I even want to go through all the steps of working that through. So I'd almost just play with 2 characters. I don't see why you couldn't. I mean, play a lot of cooperative games with 2 characters. So yeah, I think that would almost be better. Now, from what I see, it has some interesting mechanics as far as like battlefield and cover actions. That seems to be what a lot of the reviewers are saying is really cool. But I think that's where the highlights end. I think the rest of the gameplay, it looks very busy. It looks almost too busy. It looks like there's a lot more to this game, a lot of steps to playing the game. And I wonder if a lot of the theme and the adventure is lost in all the mechanics that they're trying to put on the table. And so that would be my big concern about this game. Now, the standard edition of the game is going to set you back almost $90. The deluxe edition with the miniatures is going to be like $135. Yeah, it looks really expensive. It's almost $200 for the super deluxe edition that has like all the upgrades and that sort of thing. There's add-ons you can buy, expansions and that sort of thing. It gets really expensive. I really question how much gameplay you're going to get out of that $200 or even the $100 or so dollars. You know, add on another $20 or so in shipping. So it's going to be an expensive game. And so this game is not going to deliver until the end of next year. And, you know, that's a long ways to wait and a lot of money to tie up for that time. And I do wonder if it's going to take even longer than that, given where they're at, because it doesn't look like their game development and level design is done. They say they still have to work on that for the next year, from April 2024 to April 2025. So that means like there's a lot left to do, a whole year's worth of work for this game. It's going to be a while. So don't count on the end of next year. I would, you know, look into 2026 before this even ships. So do keep that in mind. I'd just be very cautious about this one. You know, make sure that this is really a game you want. Definitely look at the rule book. Look at how it plays. Again, I think it's more complicated than it ought to be. I think the mechanics take away from the theme just looking at it. I would just take the extra time to make sure it is one you want before you back that game. All right, so we're moving on to one of my favorite games of all time, and that is Baseball Highlights 2045, and that's on GameFound right now. And so Baseball Highlights 2045, they're offering a full edition. It's called the Bases Loaded Edition. It comes with all the previous expansions. And so that means, you know, all of the starter teams, all the mini expansions, and it comes with a new All-Star expansion. And so here's the thing about Baseball Highlights 2045. It is one of the best games I've ever played. I happen to really, really love this game. I think it's one of the best deck builders out there. It's number 2 on my list of top 10 deck builders. This game is fantastic. I really love this game. Now, here's the thing for me, is I don't think for solo that the expansions add a lot to the game. I think the base game is best for solo. But yeah, I highly recommend this game though, because the price is really good. So at $48 for the game and all its expansions, that's really good. That's really good. You know, you can't go wrong with that price. That is a pretty good price. You get so many cards and all the expansions. Yeah, so that's a really good price there. Now, I do want to talk about the fact that with this being on GameFound right now, people are going to be selling their other editions and perhaps that already have expansions and for less price than what you're paying for this one. So if you're looking for the game and maybe just want to get the base game, definitely keep an eye out for the secondary market, because I would imagine that you'll be able to find the original edition for like $20 or something like that. And I think that's way worth it. Probably way more than buying this edition here, because you know, I don't own all the expansions myself, but I'm not going to get this one. As much as this game is one of my all-time favorite games, this game is like in my top 20 of, you know, the 250 games I own. So, you know, this is that good of a game, but I just don't think having all those expansions is necessary. So that's for me. But yeah, I definitely recommend Baseball Highlights. And here's the thing too, I'm not a fan of baseball. I actually don't, you know, enjoy watching baseball. I used to play when I was a kid, but had a bad experience when I was a kid, so that's probably tied into it. But yeah, I've never been a fan of baseball, but I love this game. This game is so good. It's just a fantastic deck builder, and I highly recommend it. All right, and so I'm saving what I think is the best for last, all right? And this is actually a game that I may end up, you know, breaking my no backing rule and backing this game, all right? So it's back on Kickstarter here, and it's called Questographs. It's a pencil board games, okay? So it's a book, a 75-page book, or maybe they're double-sided, so maybe half that, but it's 75 unique levels, exploring distant lands. And so it's this exploration game that's on grids, and you have multiple maps, and they all have their different challenges and that sort of thing. And it's a puzzle kind of game. And so basically, you start in a room, you open the door to that room, and then you're going to leave that room, closing that door, go to another room. And each room has different, abilities or different things that you encounter. Sometimes you get money or items, or sometimes you encounter enemies and stuff like that. And depending on the room you go into, it determines which way you can exit from. So the rooms with foliage allow you to exit diagonally, whereas the rooms with food or drink allow you to exit orthogonally. And so, yeah, there's some different ways to exit in the room, and it looks really cool. It has challenge modes, it has bonuses, like achievements to accomplish, and all sorts of things. And it looks really good, and the price is really good too. So the digital print and play files is only $8 for all 75 levels. And I think that's a fantastic price. But check this out. The full-length book with 75 levels is only $14. Now, here's the rub on this game. It only ships to the United States, okay? Well, the physical version only ships to the United States. So thankfully they provide the print and play version for all the international backers, so that's really good. But yeah, if you want the physical version, it's only shipping to the United States, and it's $6 for shipping. So $20 all in all if you get the physical version, $8 for the print and play files. I'm really torn on which one I would choose, because I like the idea of the print and play files, especially, since you can just load it up on the tablet and draw with your hand or with a stylus or something like that. But I also like the idea of the physical copy, because that sounds like a great idea to just take it somewhere and have a pencil and just, use it as I need to, maybe if I'm waiting at the doctor's office or waiting in line somewhere. Yeah, it sounds great. And so I'm really, really tempted on this one. I really am. This looks really good. And, I'm surprised it's not doing better. I don't know why it's not doing better. Everything about it looks really good. I don't know. Maybe it's the cover. The cover kind of looks plain, I guess. But, man, this looks really good. And I highly recommend you check it out. Especially if you like puzzle games. Especially if you like roll and write games, even though there's no rolling with this one. Yeah, it looks really good. So definitely recommend it. It's called Questographs, the pencil board game. And, of course, I'll have a link in my description if you want to check it out. All right, so that's it for the crowdfunding games that I wanted to talk about. Now let's jump into the games I received in the last week. And I only received 2 games this last week, and one of them was my pledge for Tainted Grail, Kings of Ruin. So I only got the base pledge for that game, and it came in, and boy, is that box huge. Like, it's as, the size of a Gloomhaven box, wider than Gloomhaven, I think. It's huge. It doesn't fit in my Kallax at all. It's a big box. And it's, it looks fantastic. It was, a little bit to sort through as I opened up all the card packs, make sure everything was there. But, it looks really great. Now, I actually probably won't play it solo. I know, right? I probably won't play it solo. The reason is because my 9-year-old, who's been really into playing cooperative campaign games with me, he's the one that's been playing Dwarf Romantic with me, he wants to play Tainted Grail with me. So I might end up playing it with him and seeing if he enjoys it. If he doesn't enjoy it, I'll continue it solo, but I'm going to give it a shot and see if he'll play it with me, and we'll work through that after we get done with Dwarf Romantic. And the other game I received was a review copy of Kingdom Rush Elemental Uprising, I think it's called. And so, yeah, this game looks really interesting. Looks like a tower defense polyomino tile laying game. It looks like a lot of fun. I really am kind of bummed out on the insert, because as I, tried to sort everything and punch everything out and everything, the insert doesn't really do well at all. I'm probably just going to get rid of the insert and use like a GMT tray for the tiles. I think that would work better. But yeah, I was really kind of disappointed in the insert. It's just not that great. But everything else about the game looks great. I can't wait to try it out. I'll end up doing a review on my channel later for it. And since I'm running out of time, I'm just going to jump into the topic I wanted to talk to you about tonight. And that is an epidemic of gatekeeping that I see in social media. Now, if you don't know what gatekeeping is, it's basically people who spend their time telling other people that, if you don't do things this way, then you're not really doing it. Or, if you don't play solo board games the right way, or if you don't follow the rules exactly, if you use house rules or stuff like that, basically they're holding the keys to the gate. And if you don't follow their rules on how to approach the hobby, then you're not part of the hobby. And I see this a lot on social media. And this is really unfortunate because it should not be this way. You should not have people telling other people how to enjoy the hobby. You should not have people saying, if you just buy games and don't play games, then you're not part of the hobby. You're just a collector. You're not a board gamer. I'm sorry, that's not for you to say. If a person wants to participate in the hobby and they spend the vast majority of their time collecting games, then that's okay. That's the way they enjoy the hobby. If you spend the vast majority of time playing one game or 10 games in your collection and that's all you have is 10 games, that's the way you enjoy it, and that's great. But we should definitely make sure that we're not telling people how to enjoy their hobby. It's very exclusionary when you do that, and you don't want to do that. I mean, come on. We have a great community of people. They all approach the hobby differently, and they enjoy games differently. Some enjoy, certain games more than others. Some enjoy beat your own score games. Some enjoy automa games. Some enjoy heavy games. Some enjoy very light games. And that's okay. It shouldn't be an issue. But I see it so many times on social media, and I'm sorry, I'm just tired of it. Like, don't do this. Don't be so rude. Don't be so abrupt and standoffish and push people away from this hobby. We should be welcoming people to this hobby, encouraging them to enjoy the hobby the way they want to, because this hobby is such a great hobby. The benefits on mental health alone is so important. And we should be encouraging people to explore the hobby the way that it benefits them the most. And if they gain benefit from collecting games and, only playing very rarely, then that's great. If they gain benefit from playing games all the time or playing the same game over and over again and no other games, that's great. If they gain benefit from light games and they don't like heavy games, please don't look down upon them. Just because you enjoy heavy games over light games doesn't mean light games are bad, or that people enjoy them are, less intelligent or whatever that is being said about them. That is just not the way to go. If you enjoy heavy board games and somebody else enjoys light board games, encourage them to enjoy the games that they like, and encourage them, suggest to them games that they might like that fit within, their criteria of games they enjoy, instead of trying to push whatever, kind of standards that you have for the hobby onto them. They're standards that you may have for yourself, but they shouldn't be pushed on other people. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say here, because I know that most of my audience really isn't this way. I know that so many of you are encouraging and just great additions to the community and don't spend your time gatekeeping. But just be aware of that, find the opportunities to encourage people. And maybe that's how we battle it. We spend our time encouraging others to enjoy the games they have and encouraging others to enjoy the hobby the way they enjoy it. And, overshout out those people who would spend their time putting people down. Yeah, that's what we should do. We should definitely spend our time encouraging others and just drown out that noise, because that's all it is. It's noise. It's noise that puts people off, and it really shouldn't. We need to be more welcoming, and I hope this encourages you to step out there and encourage more people each time you encounter them online. All right, and so that wraps up this episode. There were a lot of really interesting crowdfunding games that came out. Again, my pick for the week is definitely Questographs. That looks like a lot of fun. It really does. I'm really, really encouraged by how it looks. I'm just gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna back it. I'm gonna break my no backing rule. It looks too much fun. I think I'm gonna go with the physical copy. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. But let me know if you backed any of those games or any others that you backed. Feel free to always ask me questions in the comments below, and I thank you very much for joining me on Tabletop for One's podcast. Have a great night.